Namaste, hello and welcome. Hi guys. So this video is to announce a new series, and this is because I've just enrolled in a one-year yoga philosophy study. This is going to be a very comprehensive program, starting with studying the Vedas, continuing with the Upanishads, of course looking at yoga and Samkhya philosophy, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, as well as Shakta Yoga and Kashmir Shaivism. The program itself is quite engaging. We have 2 live classes a week, plus integration sessions, plus assignments and papers that we need to submit. And the faculty is also very impressive. This is another reason that I'm really excited about this program. All of the teachers are doctors, PhDs, and professors that not only have a very substantial background in the academy, but also have their hands-on life practice. All of them have practiced for 20, 30 years in some cases, lived in India for a certain amount of times, initiated in lineages. So it's a very well-rounded faculty, something that I'm really much looking forward to. If you've been following me, you probably know that my opinions, or let's start with my background, is not so much academic, but I always try to bring things in a more rational manner. I know how things are actually being practiced on the ground, how yogis and how different teachers tend to practice, and what is the general worldview. And I try to find a way to create a more comprehensive comparison between all the different traditions and religions, especially in finding a way to bring Eastern spirituality in a coherent manner to the 21st century, seeing what needs to be transcended and what needs to be included, so we're all kind of like on a new playing field. So for the next year, in the end of every class or 2, or maybe in the end of every week, I will make a video sharing with you about the specific topic that we have discussed in the course that week. Now, of course, I'm not going to share the actual content that they are teaching in the course. That will be unethical and probably will break a whole bunch of rules. That's not what I'm intending to do. But what I will do, I will share with you my own perspective on the specific topic. I'm intending to first probably present the more traditional approach to that specific topic, how people that are actually living those philosophies tends to see them. I will share a little bit more of the more academic perspective on those traditions, some things that I'm really excited to learn more about. And finally, and probably the biggest part of it, will be my own personal opinion from an evolutionary and integral perspective on those specific topics. What needs to be transcended, what needs to be included, and how we can bring those teachings, those practices in a coherent manner and a relevant way to the 21st century. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you probably know that my integral and evolutionary approach to spirituality is quite different from the more traditional approach that tend to be a bit more dogmatic or literal mythic, and also a bit different from the more Western and academic approach that tend to be a bit more rational and lose that mystical aspect that we find in the tradition. Throughout the series, I'll probably point out a lot the dogma or contradictions that we find even within the philosophies themselves, but of course doing all of that in a very respectable way, trying to bring the conversation to a more nuanced and a more trans-rational stage so we can all integrate those teachings without needing to bear the shortcomings of the traditions or of the Western mentality. One thing that I'm really curious to see how the teachers in the course are going to address is a very common catchphrase that a lot of yoga teachers in classes or workshops are using very frequently. And this is something that goes along like, yoga is not a religion, yoga is a science, or a philosophy or liberation, or something along those lines. And that has to do with a very strong aversion that Western or modern, postmodern people have towards religion. Now, if you ever lived in a place that there are actual yogis, people that are living their lives according to a yogic practice, regardless if it's coming from the Vedas, the Upanishads, or more tantric approaches, you can see that in all of those lifestyles, so to speak, there is a very clear dogma, there is a correlation to scriptures, there is usually a teacher authority, and there's all kind of mythical or magical thinking. In other words, if you're actually looking at the different yogic traditions, it's almost impossible to claim that yoga is not strictly another religion. When you look at it a bit more closely, it's just a whole vast of different religions that have yogic practices, but anyway, they're all very much religious approaches. So with the teachers being both versed in academic background and also having a very traditional roots, talking to a more postmodern audience, I'm really curious how they're gonna try to untangle this entire conundrum. All right, so as I said, I'm not going to share the actual content of the course, I'm just gonna share my own personal interpretations and opinions. But if all of this talk about yoga philosophy inspired you and you want to take the course, I'm going to leave a link somewhere below so you can also check the website of Embodied Philosophies and hopefully enroll in the course. I will be very excited to share this journey with you. And to make clear, there is not an affiliate link, I have no monetary incentive, just my own inspiration and enthusiasm to have more people taking this journey together. And as well, if you're gonna stick around for the rest of this series, I would really love to hear in the comments why are you here, what are you hoping to get out of this journey, what is your background in yoga, what tradition, lineage are you connected to, and would like to hear your opinion, your feedback, your criticism as we're going along to study all the different yoga philosophies. Om.